71 degrees, low humidity. The sun is shining and is expected to do so for the rest of the afternoon. Greg Gumbel along with Phil Simms and Armin Katayan. We're glad you're joined us as Mike Shanahan's Denver Broncos go for 3 straight to start this NFL season. On the other side of the field, the Super Bowl champion Baltimore Ravens, headed up by Brian Billick. The Ravens have won the toss and they have elected to receive. Jason Elam will kick, and the Ravens have Jermaine Lewis back along with Corey Harris. Lewis injured a leg in practice a week ago, missed the game last week against Cincinnati. He's a big boost for their special teams today. And we're underway in Denver. Lewis will not run this one out of the end zone. And so the Ravens will start 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line, led by quarterback Elvis Gerbach. Gerbach, 33 for 63 in the loss at Cincinnati, and he threw 3 interceptions.
Well, we talked to Elvis Gerbach last night and said, hey, how do you feel? 63 throws, got hit a lot. He goes, physically, I feel good. I'm excited about coming to Denver, he says, and playing this game because the fans, the team is good. He says it's just an exciting place to play football.
Brian Billick telling us that he says all of the local experts telling him, well, you can't win a football game throwing 63 times, and he said, well, no kidding.
Well, they said today they'll come out, try to run the ball, be a little more patient, and play action pass.
Gerbach will throw under the gun over the middle. It's intercepted. On his way to the end zone is Chester McLaughlin. He is dragged down inside the 5, close to the goal line.
Quarterbacks most of the time throw interceptions because they do not have enough time to look down the field to make proper decisions. Blitz by Denver. Gerbach has to get rid of the football, can't get it high enough, and Chester McLaughlin comes up with the interception. But look at the pressure, the blitz by the defense. Kavika Pittman puts the pressure on Elvis Gerbach. He can't even throw the football away.
Nice hands from Chester McLaughlin. 6'4", 334 pounds. And the Ravens turning the ball over at a rate not pleasing to their head coach. 1st and goal. 5 wide receivers for Greasy on 1st down. Quick drop, quick throw, touchdown. Dwayne Carswell, the tight end, and the Broncos are on the board in a hurry.
Mike Shanahan wants to show the Broncos the Baltimore defense some things they did not see last year. And 5 wide receivers is going to be one of those looks today. I didn't think he'd bring it out so quick in a situation like that. And Baltimore had trouble lining up to defend it.
Jason Elam for the extra point. 20 seconds into the game. Greasy, completing 71% of his passes, finds Carswell at the goal line. 7-0 Broncos. Has thrown one here today. This is Jermaine Lewis, and this time he'll run it out of the end zone. Hit hard and dropped across the 15 to about the 16-yard line. And onto the field for his 2nd shot at the offense today is Elvis Gerbach.
The Baltimore offensive line, it's big, it's physical, and Benny Anderson starting at right guard today.
In the backfield, Terry Allen and Sam Gash, Kadri Ishmael and Brandon Stokely are the wide receivers, and the former Denver Broncos Shannon Sharp at tight end. Terry Allen. Allen with a couple up the middle. Delta O'Neal with the stop. And the Bronco defense has Keith Washington and Kavika Pittman on the outside, McLaughlin and Trevor Price inside.
The linebackers for the Broncos, the one thing they all have in common, they can run. Even Bill Romanowski at the age of 35.
Delta O'Neal and Bernard Walker are the corners. Eric Brown and Kenoy Kennedy are the safeties. Ray Rhodes, defensive coordinator for the Broncos, looking on. to the 20, just across the 20 to the 21-yard line. Interesting, Chester McLaughlin made that play. We were talking with Mike Shanahan about the big guy, and Mike Shanahan told us, you know, I've heard lots of things about Chester McLaughlin, that maybe he doesn't play hard, and he said, I looked at some film and I couldn't see it.
Couldn't find it. He said he was my #1 guy in free agency I wanted to go after, and he watched film, he brought him in, he talked to him, signed him, and he has been terrific the first 2 games for the Broncos defense.
Mo Williams and Femi Ayanbadejo in the backfield. Gerback throws incomplete. Travis Taylor, the intended receiver, and onto the field comes the punting unit.
Now Travis Taylor was open. The ball should have been completed, but Elvis Gerback, even though he's been in this league thrown for over 7,000 yards the last 2 years, you got to be a little gun shy after the interception that really put your team down 7-0. So he was very careful with the throw.
Kyle Richardson, the Baltimore punter, averaging 33 yards a punt, expects to get a few more yards in the mile-high atmosphere. O'Neal from the 25 slips down, and that'll be the line of scrimmage. 54-yard punt by Richardson, and no return, and we'll be back. As we welcome you back to sunny and picturesque Denver, if the Broncos are looking to avenge that postseason loss from January, they couldn't have started a better way.
Yeah, they got a nice start, Greg, but what I really want to see, I want to see how this Baltimore defense reacts to the Broncos offense. Again, nobody in the backfield.
Greasy with time down the middle, incomplete, overthrew Eddie Kinnison, his intended receiver.
Well, you look at the Denver offense, the offensive line is led by the center, Tom Nalen.
In the backfield with Brian Greasy is Mike Anderson and Patrick Hape. Rod Smith and Eddie Kinnison filling in for injured Ed McCaffrey, and Dwayne Carswell is the tight end.
The empty backfield by the Broncos, that first play, if Brian Greasy has a split second more, it's going to be a big completion down the field.
Mike Anderson, the lone back, is in motion to the far side. Greasy pulls it down and is going to run. Slides down at about the 27-yard line. The Raven defense up front, they are big and aggressive. Burnett, Adams, Siragusa, and Mike McCrary.
The linebackers, 3 first-round picks, and of course, Ray Lewis, the Defensive Player of the Year last year.
Terrific corners, and Dwayne Starks and Chris McAllister, the veteran Rod Woodson at free safety. Corey Harris is the strong safety. And there is Marvin Lewis, the brains behind that Baltimore defense.
Again, nobody in the backfield to protect Brian Greasy.
On the blitz, that's complete over the middle. Kevin Casper, and Casper has enough for the first down across the 40 to about the 43-yard line. The rookie out of Iowa makes the catch, and that's his first reception of the season.
Well, it's a different look, 3 down linemen, but look at the blitz. It's Carnell Lake coming around, gets the hit, and this might be the big difference for the Denver Broncos offense this year over last year. Brian Greasy, a quicker decision maker than Gus Frerotte, very accurate with his throws, and you saw it right there, gets rid of the football even though Carnell Lake is unblocked.
Anderson and Hape behind Greasy. And this is Anderson. Anderson to about the 45-yard line. Ray Lewis wraps him up there. A pickup of 3 will make it 2nd and 7.
Well, when you look at this game, Greg, the one thing Mike Shanahan told us on Friday, got to do some things different. Spread the field, see how Baltimore reacts to that, because you want to get, Ray Lewis, Peter Bulwer, you want to get those linebackers spread out. And he goes, and look, you can't run up inside against these guys all the time. It's like hitting your head against a brick wall, and who wants to do that? So a lot of deception by the Broncos offense, and then stick a run in every now and then.
Anderson again, and he will get to midfield. Bulwer and Lewis combining on the stop after a gain of 4. Gary Kubiak looking on.
Yeah, the offensive coordinator calling the plays along with Mike Shanahan, and that was pretty good. The Broncos ran it up in this inside twice, hard, and they get 7 yards. That's about as good as you can do against this Baltimore interior defense.
The running game is the basis for everything that Denver does. Be interesting to see how well they run against this big front line of the Ravens. 5 wide receivers on 3rd and 3. Tipped at the line and falls incomplete.
Well, the thought has been good. by this offense. Receivers are open. That time there was a receiver coming underneath who was wide open again, and Sam Adams, number 95, stops the first down by reaching up and knocking the football down.
We've talked about Adams and Siragusa, and they are basically, there you see the block, basically run stoppers, and Adams playing a little pass defense there. Here's Tom Rowan. Good off the side of his foot, still bounces inside the 20, inside the 15, and out of bounds at about the 13-yard line. 37-yard punt and no return, and Gary Kubiak calling the plays upstairs when that ball got tipped at the line of scrimmage. It looked like a first down to him. Success that the Ravens enjoyed on first half drives. Field position has been a part of it so far today. They started at their own 20, their own 16, and now from their own 13-yard line. Al Wilson makes the stop on Terry Allen, and we check in with Armin downstairs. Armin.
Thanks, Greg. You know, considering how this game has started for the Ravens, I'm struck by something that Brian Billick told us last night. He told his team, you know, after that loss to Cincinnati, we could have played a weaker team and won, but why not go out to Denver, play the Broncos on their home field, and find out just how resilient we are as a football team? Well, the Broncos are giving them ample opportunity to do just that. Greg?
All right, Armin. Not that he had much choice in the matter. This is where they were on the schedule. This is Mo Williams, and Williams is stopped at about the 17-yard line. Keith Washington, former Baltimore Raven, in on the tackle.
You know, it's kind of hard when you sit at home to see the differences in games. We had a chance, Greg, to do the playoff game in Baltimore last year. And as I watch this game, I know it's really early, but the Broncos on offense, it's a different scheme. And the defense, Elvis Gerback was right. He says, I expect the Broncos defense to be aggressive against us inside and make me throw it to my wide receivers to be successful, and that's what they've done so far.
Gerback going to roll to his right and throws this side incomplete. His receiver slipped and fell on the play.
And as I make the point, we see it again. Pressure on the quarterback. Elvis, you're going to have to throw the ball down the field to your wide receivers to have success. And under pressure, throw him before he wants. And Travis Taylor slips. They bring him in motion so nobody can bump him up the line of scrimmage. Denard Walker, boy, nice cut. Very nice cut by the defensive back. Not so good by Travis Taylor.
Baltimore held Denver to just 9 first downs in that postseason game. The Ravens have yet to register a first down here today. High punt, O'Neal with room to return. Can't sidestep the first tackler, and he's down at the 39-yard line. 46-yard punt and a 3-yard return, and we're back after this. We remind you can log on to NFL.com for exclusive online auctions. All proceeds will be donated to the September 11th relief effort. Just go to NFL.com or your AOL keyword, NFL.com. 5 wide receivers on first down. 8:51 to play in the first. Greasy throws this side, complete. Rod Smith, and Smith across midfield and out of bounds at the 45-yard line of the Baltimore Ravens. 15 yards and a first down.
5 wide receivers to do this offense. You need a quarterback who can make quick decisions. Brian Greasy does it, and Rod Smith gets open on a quick move.
And now they'll go without a huddle.
We were kind of expecting this no huddle. This is absolutely a different look for this Baltimore defense.
Quick pass to the far side. That's complete. Not much yardage there for Eddie Kinnison.
And Greg, the no huddle, 5 wide receivers, speed the game up, give the Baltimore defense something new, but also Baltimore's defense, not like a lot of teams in the National Football League, they are big. If you keep completing passes, make them run, Mike Shanahan's hoping to tire him out a little.
Quick drop, quick throw, and across the 40 to Desmond Clark.
And that's what you got to be good at when you do this type of offense. The quarterback has got to be accurate. Your receivers have got to make catches like Desmond Clark did that time, inside with defenders all around you.
Changes on both sides now as the Broncos go into a huddle.
Well, they're going to go in a short yardage offense. Well, a conventional offense, not a short yardage offense.
3rd and 2. On the end around, slipping and falling is Kinnison. And he is down all the way back to the 43 or 44 yard line, a loss of 6 on the play. And Michael McCrary was there to button up that play on this side.
You know, Greg, something we talked about in the Super Bowl about this Baltimore defense. You see, they talk a lot. You know, they show a lot of bluster, and people think that. But the one thing that makes them so good is they're extremely disciplined. That play illustrated that time. Michael McCrary stays on the backside, doesn't get fooled, and makes the tackle.
Jermaine Lewis is deep. Ruin hits this one high. Bounce at the 5. And the Broncos couldn't save it from bouncing into the end zone. Chris Cole couldn't quite corral it, and Baltimore will start at their own 20 right after this. Very critical for the Denver Broncos. The Ravens starting with an interception and 2 punts. Allen and Gash in the backfield. Gerback to throw. That's complete out to the 40-yard line, and breaking free is Travis Taylor. Taylor to the 40. And finally run down inside the 20-yard line by Eric Brown. All the way to the 17-yard line, a gain of 63 yards.
The Denver Broncos defense is saying, we dare you to throw it. Look at the safeties in the middle. Nobody underneath. Elvis Gerback, terrific timing, the perfect throw, and Travis Taylor. That's what's going to happen when you dare the offense. If somebody misses a tackle, it's going to be a big play. Deltha O'Neal misses a tackle, and so does Kenoy Kennedy.
Longest reception of Travis Taylor's young career. Terry Allen tries to bounce it outside, but not much there. John Mobley with the tackle, and we take a check of what's happening in New York with Jim Nance. Jim.
Thank you, Greg. Got to show you the finish at the end of regulation today at Giant Stadium. Aaron Brooks and the Saints need a touch and a 2 to send it to overtime, and Brooks scrambles, and Willie Jackson plucks it out of the air, but he's called for offensive pass interference, plus he came in from out of bounds, lost it down. The game ends with a Giants victory, 21-13. Let's go back out to Denver.
All right, Jim, thank you. Terry Allen up the middle, knocked down at about the 15-yard line. Al Wilson, the Broncos middle linebacker, makes the stop after a 3-yard gain, and it'll be a 3rd and 7.
You know, Greg, we showed a graphic earlier about the Baltimore offense, how it struggled in the first half of its games, and even though they got Elvis Gerback coming in as a quarterback, I think he is a outstanding franchise quarterback. This is just not going to start clicking right from the start. Offensive line in transition, running back situation still in transition, but I can see as time goes on that they will get this together.
Gerback had 2 red zone turnovers last week, and we have a stoppage of the clock at 4:56 in the first quarter. We'll be back. As you look at Elvis Gerback conferring on the sideline, those are valid points that you make, Phil, talking about the changes that both the Ravens and Gerback has to deal with. And now he has 2 new backs in the game in Mo Williams and Femi Ayambadejo.
Elvis Gerback said something to us last night. It's the little things that are holding them back. And this league is all about the fine-tuning of whatever you're doing in offense or defense.
Straight drop over the middle. That's complete inside the 15-yard line to Travis Taylor. O'Neal on his back limits him to a 2-yard gain.
For this Denver Broncos defense to be better than it was last year, the corners, Deltha O'Neal and Denard Walker, I should say, have to be better covering wide receivers. And this is a good example, not only being close, knowing the situation, and making the tackle to prevent the first down.
Matt Stover, Pro Bowl kicker from a year ago from 29 yards out. And gets it inside the upright. So the Ravens get on the board. Travis Taylor's big reception, the big play in the drive. Travis Taylor, the big 63-yard reception to key that Baltimore drive. You'll recall the Ravens lost him in the middle of last season to the broken clavicle.
And for this Ravens offense to really make a step forward, number 89, Travis Taylor's got to become their go-to receiver.
From the 7-yard line, it's Casper. Casper out to the 35 and 36-yard line. Adalius Thomas makes the stop after a 28-yard return, and the speedy Casper has certainly been one of the apples of Mike Shanahan's eye this young season.
Yeah, he's jumped out. Special teams, returning kickoffs like that, Greg, and we saw him catch his first pass of his career on the Broncos opening drive, and look, we saw him on Friday, and first thing I said, hey, who does your hair? Platinum blonde, and he had a good laugh about it. Fixes it once a month. And we'll tell you a few things about Kevin Casper if we get a chance later in the day.
He's a different guy. Greasy, quick drop, quick pass over the middle. Desmond Clark with the catch. And appears to have enough for a first down.
You know, it's interesting as we watch this Bronco offense, you can see their plan's pretty good. They've had a chance to have 2 sustained drives, and we're a little unlucky to get them both stopped. But what did Ray Lewis tell us last night? He says the fact that they have their quarterback, that's big, not only because of what he does physically, but they believe now that they got a chance because he puts confidence into them.
On first down, they give it to Orlando's Gary, and Gary out to midfield, and Lewis is there to make the tackle.
And that's what happens, too, the belief, and we've seen it so far. Watch Ray Lewis, the middle linebacker, reads it, coming right. Tom Nalen misses the tackle or the block, and Ray Lewis all over the tackle. You know, we watch game tapes, and Greg, you watch them, and you can pick out Ray Lewis, and you can go through a course of a whole game, and he will never get blocked one single time.
Straight ahead over midfield to about the 47-yard line. And you know, what Lewis had to say about Brian Greasy was interesting too. He said he simply believes that, you know, while Greasy comes into this game completing 71% of his passes, Ray Lewis told us he's getting too much time back there.
Yeah,
he's absolutely getting too much time to throw the football.
Well, see, the Ravens defense, they look at everything through a different eye than the rest of the league does. But yeah, Brian Greasy gets protected pretty well, and they think the difference in their defense is going to be the fact they were pressuring to make decisions faster.
Go.
3rd and 3, Rod Smith in motion. Greasy going to throw and has a man wide open across the middle, and Clark out of bounds close to the 25-yard line. That'll be another first down. 21-yard pickup on the play.
Well, that was a nice-looking play by the Denver offense. James Trapp has Clark, see what gets picked by his own man on the side of the field. That's why Desmond Clark is wide open. James Trapp ran into his own man, and nobody is covering the tight end as he comes across the field.
And you know, we keep referring to that postseason game in which the Ravens defense was so dominant. It bears repeating that Brian Greasy, due to injury, was not a part of that game. Anderson, the lone back behind Greasy on first down. Anderson trying to cut back, bouncing off a couple of tacklers, and makes it to the 25-yard line.
I think 9 people on the Baltimore defense got a lick in that time.
That wild card game taking place in Baltimore. The Denver offense came in on fire, was held to 3 points, 177 total yards. They crossed midfield against Baltimore once all day long.
What I say, Mike Shanahan, are you going to have a different plan? He goes, absolutely.
That one didn't seem to work.
Gave me that look like, what are you kidding?
The give is Anderson to about the 25.
You know, Ray Lewis again on the tackles. We talk about this Baltimore defense. Of course, it's extremely talented physically. Good job. Nobody again gets to Ray Lewis. That's because of those 2 interior defensive linemen. But the biggest thing is not only the talent they have, but the discipline. Nobody gambles. That's why they don't give up many big plays.
3rd and 9 as we come up on half a minute to play in the first quarter. From the 5 wide receiver set. Greasy escapes the pressure. Stop. Throws across the field. Incomplete. 83 is Travis McGriff coming from the other side of the field, and Jason Elam in the field goal unit come on.
Well, that was a good look for Brian Greasy that time. Trouble, gets out of it, doesn't take a sack, and allows his team to have a much better chance of making the field goal.
This will be a 43-yard field goal attempt by Jason Elam.
You know, a lot of times, Greg, you talk about Brian Greasy, and everybody gives the credit to Mike Shanahan and his offense. Of course, that has a lot to do with success of a quarterback. But what really helps Brian Greasy so much is his feet. And we'll take a look at it, the play that just happened. Trouble coming at him. He's allowed to get, he allows himself, because of his good feet, to get away. Ray Lewis untouched. Brian Greasy gets outside. And the one thing, when you look at Brian Greasy, you see those good feet. It makes me think back to when I was a child, and I used to watch the Miami Dolphins play, and this guy.
Those feet are inherited.
That's exactly right. Bob Greasy, besides throwing a really pretty ball all the time, had very good feet. And Mike Shanahan, when he worked out Brian Greasy, that's the first thing that jumped out at him. He says, hey, this guy might run a 5-flat 40, but he has got the feet of a person who runs about a 4.5 40. And that's the reason why they drafted Brian Greasy. And there's somewhere up in there, I can see him in the top. There he is, behind the pole. Bob Greasy
stopped into the booth and said hello earlier.
Did the Texas A&M game yesterday against Notre Dame.
Notre Dame lost that game, didn't they? Jermaine Lewis inside the 5. And is down at about the 16 or 17-yard line. Chris Cole, the second-year man, making the stop after a 15-yard return.
And, you know, just to finish it off, because, you know, I hate to do comparisons, too, but I heard Mike Shanahan say this once during the offseason to me. He goes, Brian Greasy, and he gave me the look now, take this the right way. He has the feet. They're so good. They're a lot like Joe Montana's. And, you know, Joe Montana had the prettiest feet I've ever seen in the National Football League. But Brian Greasy's very, very close to that. And that's why he can get rid of the football so quick, because he can get in position to get rid of it.
Under pressure, the swing pass to Allen. And Allen out of bounds at about the 25-yard line, chased out by Eric Brown after a gain of 9. It'll be 2nd and 1.
Now, Elvis Gerback, on the other hand, 6'6". A tremendous feet for a guy that tall. But he is way too much as a starting quarterback. And we saw a lot of Bengals. They hit him many times, and he's hit the deck about 3 or 4 times already today.
7 seconds remaining, and the clock continues to run. Gerback will not get this play off before time expires here in the first quarter. We have played 15 minutes here in Denver. The Broncos with a 10-3 lead on the Baltimore Ravens. We're coming back to Invesco Field at Mile High for the start of the second quarter after this. Scores, highlights, and the latest NFL news, all coming up on the Nextel Halftime Report. Greg Gumbel, Phil Simms, Armin Katayan. Start of the second quarter. Broncos with a 10-3 lead. And Gerback to throw. Wide open, and he hit him across the 40 to the 45-yard line. Travis Taylor having a big day. That's a 21-yard pickup and a first down.
You know, I'm curious as this year goes along to watch the development of these wide receivers for the Baltimore Ravens. Because last year they threw so few times that the receivers never got in rhythm. But look at Travis Taylor in the middle, reads his zone, sits down, and a perfect throw by Elvis Gerback. Throws it to his back shoulder, makes him turn around, so that way he won't take too hard of a hit.
Straight ahead and room to run with Terry Allen. And Eric Brown makes the stop. The first thing we asked Brian Billick last night is, are you going to go back to your run? Or more accurately, did you kind of lose faith in your running game last week against Cincinnati? And he said, maybe, yeah, a little bit, but I think you'll see more of a concentration on it today.
Well, they know what's successful. They know their defense is going to be consistent and play well all year long. Be patient with your running game. Stay with it. And the play action passes with Gerback should be outstanding.
To the run again. Allen spinning inside the 40 to about the 39-yard line. You remember, these Baltimore Ravens lost a terrific running back in Jamal Lewis to a knee injury for the season.
Elvis Gerback comes to Baltimore. He goes, oh, good defense, tremendous running back. I'm thinking play action passes. It's going to, I said, Elvis, with Jamal Lewis as your running back, you would have had 30 big passing plays off of play action this year. And he goes, oh, absolutely easy.
Whistle blows. This play will not count. Bill Levy is our referee today.
Prior to the snap, false start. Number 64, offense. 5-yard penalty. Second.
That's the left guard, Edwin Mulatalo.
But the one thing, so even we do it, Greg, we overreact to what happened to the Baltimore Ravens last week in Cincinnati. Remember last year, they played so many close games. And what did Ray Lewis said? He said the number one goal of all the teams that we play now are going to be, they're not going to let us bully them around. They just want to make sure we don't bully them like we did last year. So they know they're going to be in for tough fights every week.
Gerback play fakes and throws, and the pass is complete to John Jones. And Jones is flipped, but appears to have enough for the first down.
I think John Jones showed a little bit of athletic ability right there, and he's big, tall. I think he's going to be a terrific pass receiver. Shannon Sharp, him, Todd Heath, the first-round draft pick. The tight end position is in really good hands down in Baltimore now.
Heath is out with an ankle injury. John Jones seeing more action today, the second-year man from Indiana, Pennsylvania. Mo Williams, the lone back behind Gerback. And he gets the handoff. Inside the 30 to the 28-yard line, Trevor Price with the tackle after a pickup of 3, and it'll be 2nd and 7. There's been a change in the defensive tackle position for these Denver Broncos. Keith Traylor was alongside Price last year and he went elsewhere. And as we talked about earlier, Mike Shanahan said Chester McLaughlin absolutely was the #1 person in his eye.
Well, coaches, Mike Shanahan's played against Chester McLaughlin so many times with the Raiders and Kansas City. We couldn't block him, so let's get him over to our side and see if somebody else can block him.
Straight ahead is Terry Allen following Sam Gash's block, and once again Trevor Price is there to stop the play.
It strikes me we're seeing the Ravens on offense. Brian Billick told us we would see all 3 running backs, Terry Allen, Mo Williams,
and the first-year man Jason
Brookings, all 3. He rotates them in and out.
Sam Gash off to the sideline. 3rd and 6. Ian Badejo and Terry Allen are in the backfield. And the crowd comes alive. Gerback to the throw. Incomplete. Penalty marker is down. That was Delta O'Neal on Qadri Ismail. And the interference call is going to go against the Denver Broncos.
Interference. Defense 24. Automatic down.
Well, we're so far away, but you can tell right away that it's pass interference. The fact that Qadri Ismail is running down the field, and you can see his stride change, and that only tells you one thing. Delta O'Neal must have stuck an arm out, grabbed him or whatever to make him change his running gait.
Advances the football to the 9-yard line, where it'll be 1st and goal for the Baltimore Ravens. They trail by 7. Allen tripped up at the line of scrimmage, may have gotten a yard on the play. It'll be 2nd and goal. Terry Allen has been a little bit defensive. Everyone looking to him to fill in for Jamal Lewis, and he said, we're doing our best out there. I think he told one reporter, if you think you can do it better, you go out there and do it.
Well, listen, first, it's not even fair. He's not Jamal Lewis, and the offensive line does have changes in it. They're trying to get it together, so it's tough for a running back, especially Terry Allen at this time.
Gerback play fakes and throws for the corner of the end zone and overthrows his intended receiver, Qadri Ismail.
When I watch this Baltimore Ravens offense, as we did quite a few of their games down the stretch last year, what they're doing now does not even resemble what they looked like last year. There's more flow to it, more imagination, and Elvis Gerback is just a better thrower. And so when these receivers get open, he's able to hit them down the field.
We have a timeout on the field. And it is called by the Baltimore Ravens. That's their 2nd timeout used here in the first half.
What did Brian Billick tell us last night about Elvis Gerback? Now, Brian Billick's worked with a lot of good quarterbacks, especially when he was up in Minnesota. He had Jeff George, Randall Cunningham, and they all did very well. And Brad Johnson, he goes, I got higher expectations and feel better about working with Elvis Gerback than any other of the quarterbacks I've worked with. So that tells you the confidence he has in him, what he expects, and I think they know when the end of the year comes up, you're going to look at Elvis Gerback and go, it's a pretty good year.
Gerback and the Ravens are 0 for 3 on third down so far today. And they look at a 3rd and goal with the line of scrimmage, the 8-yard line. Well, it's funny how things change from year to year. We talked about it with Ray Lewis last night. The Ravens finished up the season looking absolutely invincible. And then they get knocked off by the Cincinnati Bengals last week. Ian Badejo, the lone back on 3rd and goal. Gerback throws into the end zone, incomplete, and Qadri Ismail ended up on the ground looking for a call that doesn't come.
Well, I've noticed one thing that's been pretty consistent so far in this game. The Baltimore receivers are falling down a lot. A couple slips. I couldn't tell that time if Ismail was tripped or just fell down.
One of the things we wanted to know from Mike Shanahan is what the players thought about this field, this brand new stadium, and he said they like it.
Like the turf, fast, easy to cut on, they said.
Stover from 26 yards out is good. So the Denver defense stops the Ravens.
Pure.
Welcome back to Denver. There's Kevin Casper with the terrific return, and there's that hairdo you were talking about.
I think he got it redone since we talked to him. It looks even blonder or flatter. I don't know what's called that color.
Greasy on first down. Over the middle. Batted down and almost intercepted by number 55, Jamie Sharper. And we go down to Armin.
Thanks, Greg. You know, you talk about Kevin Casper and just how impressive he is physically, this 44-inch vertical jump, explosive speed. But the most impressive thing may have been when he stood in front of the team one day during their workouts before they start to practice. And the rookies have to do different things. So Casper stood in his full uniform right in front of the team and did a complete backflip, landed on his feet. Romanowski told us yesterday, he goes, okay, I'm impressed. That works for me.
Oh, I don't know. One of the most impressive things to me was what he eats, or rather what he doesn't eat. Greasy, quick pass. That's complete. Rod Smith. Smith out over the 45 and appears to have enough for a Denver first down.
This is just good game planning by the Denver Bronco coaches. Watch this. Fake upfield, get the screen, and then the blocks by the tight end down the field, and Rod Smith, a terrific inside runner once he catches the football.
We mentioned what Ray Lewis said earlier about how Greasy just had, in his opinion, too much time to throw last week. He said, you know, Greasy and Rod Smith were just playing pitch and catch.
Yeah, well, they do that. Rod Smith is one of the best kept secrets in the National Football League for the last few years. What he has done in his career in the first 2 games of this year are terrific. But look at last week alone against the Arizona Cardinals. That's what Ray Lewis was talking about. They were just playing pitch and catch. And even though the Baltimore defense is very cognizant of where Rod Smith is, Denver lines him up everywhere. They put him in motion. They run special plays for him. It's hard to stop him from catching his number of passes.
Greasy pulls it down, throws this side, and has his man across midfield at Patrick Haight. And Haight is up close to another first down. Greasy first looked left, saw double coverage coming, and pulled it down and came back this way.
I tell you, that was a terrific job of not throwing it down the left sideline. Watch it to Rod Smith. He fakes. He's going to go. It would have been intercepted. Holds it up, and then finds his outlet receiver, Haight, in the right flat. And Marvin looks very animated as a defensive coordinator. Runs up and down the sideline with his team to yell instructions to him whenever he can.
Greasy is at 6 different receivers today. And not much for a first down. Straight ahead. And let's see if Mike Anderson got there or not. It appears to be a bit short.
Well, you could hear with the sound there, Greg. It is tough to run inside on the Baltimore Ravens defense. You hear it so much, but their inside tackles are so big, so athletic, that it allows Ray Lewis, Peter Boulware, all the linebackers to run around and make the tackle.
3rd and 1. And again, the 5 wide receiver set. And Greasy is going to keep it and roll ahead for the first down.
Well, there's no doubt in that situation. Don't take a chance. Don't throw it. Spread them out and just let your quarterback get the foot for you. But you could see if you're at home watching, the plan has been good by the Broncos. When you're playing good athletes, try to make them cover more parts of the field, and that's what they're doing.
Mike Anderson gets tripped up by Mike McCrary. You know, we've talked about that Baltimore run defense. If you look at those two guys in the middle, Tony Siragusa and Sam Adams, if you go by the published numbers, that's about 670 pounds of beef.
Well, not only that, then you got Michael McCrary on the outside, number 99. We told Mike Shanahan, hey, he's gained about 30 pounds over last year, and Shanahan goes, oh, good. When they gain weight, they might be slower, but if you watch the films and you watch the games, he has not slowed down at all.
Quick pass, and that is tipped and it falls incomplete. Number 21 over there, Chris McAllister, was hoping for a pick.
And that's got to be one of the big coaching points for the Ravens defensive linemen. It is going to be hard to get to Brian Greasem and sack him. They get rid of the football very quickly. So make your initial move, and if it's not right to the quarterback, stop, watch the quarterback, and then try to bat the passes down.
There is Rob Burnett, part of that terrific front four for the Baltimore Ravens. 3rd and 11. And again, the Broncos spread the field. Under the gun, and down goes Greasy. Peter Boulware, one of the blitzing linebackers, is the one that got to him. That's Boulware's 2nd sack of the season.
Well, every once in a while, the Baltimore Ravens let Peter Boulware actually be one of the defensive linemen. Comes from Brian Greasy's right side. Because he's a pass rusher in these situations, he's smaller, but he's much quicker than a defensive lineman, and sometimes he catches an offensive lineman off guard.
That's only the 2nd sack allowed by the Denver offensive line this year, and Jermaine Lewis is deep to take the kick from Tom Ruin. Lewis from the 6. Brought down close to the 10-yard line, and again, with Keith Burns leading the charge, Denver puts a cap on special teams play by the Baltimore Ravens. Keith Burns with the tackle. The Ravens will start deep in their own territory when we come back. And yardage by a tight end in NFL history.
Well, he's been a terrific player. You heard a few boos as he caught that pass, but not many. They respect what he did here as a Denver Bronco, and he has been a terrific influence on the young receivers for the Baltimore Ravens.
Quarterback throws to nobody. Nobody over there.
We might get something here. Yep, there it goes. Good teamwork by the officials.
And that'll be intentional grounding and loss of a down.
I'm just trying to decide, what was Elvis Gerback trying to argue there? We'll give you a look at it here in a minute.
Intentional grounding. Number 18 offense. Penalties at the spot of the foul. Lost it down.
Watch it. Elvis Gerback's going to go back. He's going to throw out in this area. Are there any receivers even close? No. When you throw the football away, just strictly just trying to avoid a sack like that, when you're under pressure, they're going to throw the flag.
So now 3rd and 17, the Ravens from their own 3-yard line. Ian Badejo, nowhere, maybe a yard. Trevor Price, Kavika Pittman on the stop, and onto the field comes the punting unit.
You know, and that's the only play you can really run in a situation like that. Communication was probably zero. Elvis Gerback's got the fans right behind him. The crowd's pumped, the players are pumped. Only bad things could happen to your offense, so run the football.
Here in Invesco, the fans are very, very close to the playing field down in the end zone. Kyle Richardson kicking it out of his own end zone, and O'Neal standing near midfield. Denver should have great field position coming out of this. Nice kick by Richardson. Goes all the way back to his own 30-yard line. O'Neal picks up a block, shakes off a tackler, and out across the 40 to about the 42-yard line. 65-yard punt, 12-yard return, and Brian Billick feeling a little frustrated as this game wears on. As you look at the numbers, each team has gained. It's a 10-6 Denver lead. Baltimore is the one racking up the yardage, but can't convert anything but field goals.
And it's interesting because I think Denver has done so many good things on offense. Then you look down, and they got 97 yards on offense so far in this game.
Reese going to throw over the middle, has his man, and that is Desmond Clark. Clark to about the 35-yard line. There's a loose football. The Ravens say they have it. And the officials agree.
Nice play by the Broncos offense. Reese gets rid of the football again quickly. Right on target and down the middle. Boy, nice catch by Desmond Clark turning around. Big hit by Woodson. Oh, that is terrific. Corey Harris comes in and knocks it out with his hand.
Corey Harris knocks it out and recovers the fumble.
Big hit. Now watch the hand come in as he's going down and knocks it out.
So Harris with the recovery, and the Ravens are back in business on offense.
Well, the Broncos have had about 3 or 4 chances for drives, for scoring drives, and something's gone, knockdown pass, a failed reverse, turnover here. And not only that, they didn't score. Now Baltimore's going, oh man, finally better field position where they can operate their offense again.
161 offensive plays. The Broncos, their first turnover of this young season. Brookins and Gash in the backfield behind Gerback. Gerback with time this side. Throws far side, incomplete. Travis Taylor, the intended receiver. And number 27 over there, Denard Walker, is looking for a call against Taylor. And it appeared that Travis might have given him a little push.
Oh, I don't think there's any question. Down the field, but the throw is perfect by Elvis Gerback because Denard Walker does not turn, so he throws it to his back shoulder. Travis Taylor's the only one that can turn and catch it, and you know, replays never make it look as bad as it really is. But live, you could see the push by Travis Taylor.
Gerback under the gun, throws, tipped incomplete. And Gerback was hit hard by Bill Romanowski.
Denver made a mistake on defense, and they are really lucky. That time, nobody was even covering Shannon Sharpe as he went down the field. Pressure on the quarterback made him get rid of it. Romanowski with the hit. And watch Shannon Sharpe go down the field. Maybe Romanowski had him in coverage. Wide open. Gerback has to get rid of the football though.
3rd and 10. Gerback flips out the screen to the far side. This is Mo Williams, and Williams falls across the 40 to the 42-yard line. He'll be short of a first down.
The perfect call for that situation. It's going to pick up a first down. Bill Romanowski stops it because he is able to outrun the offensive lineman to get to the running back that time. And that's what Bill Romanowski said to us the other day. This game is about speed and running, and he goes, I can run with the best of them.
Romanowski and Shannon Sharpe, just notorious talkers, have been notoriously quiet this week leading up to this game. O'Neal is deep. Another fine kick by Kyle Richardson. O'Neal calls for the fair catch, lets it bounce, and it's going to roll dead inside the 5-yard line. So for once, the Broncos, their game, I wouldn't be any good.
Anything to do with running, you'd be out of.
Oh, they don't run. I mean, they're
whatever.
Traveling, jump on a train, and, you know.
It's a play of words. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Working hard. I don't know what you're doing. But I find this game really fascinating, and the tempo is so fast, and you can tell when you're sitting here watching it how good both of these teams are, and it's just so difficult for either side to sustain anything.
Here's Mike Anderson, and Anderson is wrapped up just after he got the ball by Sam Adams.
And that really illustrates a lot. Look at Sam Adams. Just, hell, he's big standing next to all these NFL players. And the thing is, he's so big, and everybody always thinks, oh, he's big, that's why he's good. He is a terrific athlete. If you watch him, and if you get a chance at home, when you're just watching how he can run up and down the line of scrimmage, he can get blocked, hit the ground, and be up and tackling the runner in the same motion.
Greasy throwing out of his own end zone, has his man, and that's Rod Smith. And Smith out close to the 20-yard line. It's enough for a first down.
Boy, oh boy, I'll tell you, Brian Greasy, you got to have some nerve, some of your own end zone. Watch as he goes back. Nice protection this time, but he sticks it in. Oh, defenders everywhere, outside, inside, behind him. And Rod Smith, nice there, gets rid of Dwayne Starks, pushes him away, and gets the first down.
So the line of scrimmage now, the 19-yard line. Smith 3 catches on the day. Greasy over the middle again, incomplete, and this time his intended receiver, Dwayne Carswell, was double covered.
Even though the Broncos are doing so many different things, the Ravens, because of the way they're coached and they're just having so many good athletes, are able to adjust to it.
Phil, why do you think that we haven't really seen that hallmark of the Denver offense running the football as much today?
Well, the Broncos offense, when they run the football, it's about cutting defenders down and the runner going through it. When you play a team as athletic as the Ravens, you can't cut them down. And even if you do, they get up and make the tackle.
The run is to the right side this time and out to about the 22-yard line is Anderson. And with that, we reach the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to play here in Denver. The Broncos with the ball and a 4-point lead.
You know, Greg, during the break, we're just talking. You can really, here in the stadium, you can just feel the tension from the players, the fans, because they know what's going on here. It's two of the best teams, and
neither team being able to run the ball very well so far today. 3rd and 7. Denver, all 3 of its timeouts remaining. Greasy over the middle. Penalty marker flies as Rod Smith pulls it in at the 30-yard line.
Wow, you think Rod Smith is not tough? Ray Lewis just gave him the best of everything he had, and he still held on to that football. And he might be coming out of the game, too.
The penalty appears to be going against the Broncos.
I think one of the offensive linemen.
Holding. Number 62, offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 3rd down.
That's right guard Dan Neal.
He was holding Sam Adams. Let's just watch the hit. Rod Smith over the middle. Dart by Greasy. Watch Ray Lewis. Sees the quarterback, comes off of his receiver, and makes a vicious hit on Rod Smith.
And Rod Smith has come off on the sideline. There you see him. Chris Cole, the 2nd-year wide receiver from Texas A&M, is on the field. 5 wide receivers on 3rd and 17. Throwing this side and out of bounds as Greasy was under big pressure from Ray Lewis. So Tom Rowan comes on the field to kick it away, and Jermaine Lewis will be deep.
You know, I'm just thinking, Greg, if I was a quarterback, usually quarterbacks want to throw the ball a lot when they're playing. I'd be looking to the sideline. That run's looking good, you know, against this Baltimore Raven defense, because they can pressure the quarterback from a lot of different looks.
What do you mean, if you were a quarterback?
Well, if I was still playing.
Ah, there you go. Nice kick by Rowan. Lewis from the 36, 40, and up to about the 44-yard line. Next Sunday, the NFL on CBS has regional action. We will be in Baltimore, where Eddie George will lead the Titans against Ray Lewis and these Ravens. Others will see the Patriots take on the Dolphins. Kansas City visits the Broncos here in Denver, or the Jets tangle with the Buffalo Bills. We ask you to check your local listings for these and other games. It all begins with the NFL Today.
You know what?
Yeah.
Every one of those games look good next week.
Absolutely. You see, we're going to have to add Dion to that picture.
Not bad.
First half drives have come up empty as far as scoring touchdowns are concerned. I am Badejo with the handoff up to midfield. As we come up on a 1.5 minutes to play, the Ravens with 1 timeout. Pickup of 6 and make it 2nd and 4. And Baltimore's hurry-up offense. Gerback, good time, over the middle, has his man wide open, and that's Ian Badejo. So Ian Badejo on the run and then on the pass reception, and it's enough for a first down.
Don't waste it down here, kill the clock.
And Gerback does just that and stops the clock with 65 seconds to play.
And they got to do that because they only have one timeout, Greg, and they used them for crowd noise or lack of communication so far in this half. And generally the rule for football teams is, this is the way I was always taught, in the first half, if you need them, take them. In the second half, boy, it better be a disaster when you take that timeout. Save them for the end of the game in case you need them to help you win the game.
2nd and 10. Gerback with good protection. The pass to Brandon Stokely. And that's Stokely's first reception. Clock continues to move. Pick up a 3. It's 3rd and 7. And now the clock stops on the field with 52 seconds to play.
Well, watch Brandon Stokely coming across the field. It's receivers in the National Football League now. If you want to catch the ball, if you want to be part of your offense, you got to make tough catches like that one. And Brandon Stokely, I think he'd rank that up as a pretty tough catch.
We were talking with Brandon Stokely and congratulating him. He is engaged to be married on the 23rd of February to an All-American softball player.
Yes.
Lana.
Well, you see that picture of him right there. He was in the room with us. Elvis Gerback was in there, and Elvis Gerback was going, "Hey, Spotty." And I go, "Why are you calling him Spotty?" Well, him and Kevin Casper have something going there because Brandon Stokely kind of tinted his hair, so in the back of his head, he's got some light brown spots.
3rd and 7.
It looked good, though.
Gerback floats away from the blitz and throws it out of bounds. 52, Ian Gold was applying pressure from the near side.
Years ago in the NFL, that was a really good play. Sprint your quarterback out, your receivers would run down the sideline, get away from the pass pressure. But nowadays, as soon as they see it, to complete a pass when the quarterback's rolling out like that.
The Denver defense has been terrific on 3rd down. They have stopped the Ravens 7 times here in the first half. Richardson will try to plant this one inside the 20-yard line. And this was blow before the snap. Delay of game as the play clock wound down. So we'll back it up 5 yards and do it again. You know, Brian Billick, we expected, well, just really wondered if he would be, you know, what his demeanor would be after the loss to Cincinnati.
The 5-yard penalty is accepted. 4th down.
Very philosophical about it. You know,
Yeah.
He had a chance to win a couple of times. He had a chance to go ahead, and it just didn't happen.
Come on, we know the NFL. Anybody can win every week, and I don't know why I was so shocked either. Yes, the Ravens are really good on defense. They're not unbeatable, of course, Greg. And just, again, look back to last year. They were Super Bowl champions, and all the games that they played were extremely close. And as Brian Billick told us last night, hey, why would this season be any different? Every game is going to be tough. It's going to be a tough season. And he goes, good. That's just the way this league is.
Richardson gets it away, and O'Neal will let this one fly, and it goes out of bounds, and it will be a touchback. It'll come out to the 20-yard line.
Kyle Richardson says, man, trade me to Denver.
This air does wonders for your average.
Yeah, that ball goes up there. It's like out of one of those machines you see on a practice field. Perfect spirals and hit them about 60 to 70 yards in the air.
So Brian Griese has all 3 of his timeouts and 39 seconds to work with. Speaking of the ball traveling, he also has Jason Elam, who shares the NFL record for longest field goal at 63. Look at the numbers for the quarterbacks. And rather than try anything extravagant, the Broncos are going to let the clock wind down on this first half. Denver with a 10-6 lead, and let's go down to Armin Katayan.
Mike, your thoughts on the first half, which has the look of a very high-level chess match?
Well, they're doing a good job. We had a chance down here, but we turned the football over, and you can't turn the football over against a great defensive football team. When you do move it, you got to take advantage of those opportunities. Hopefully do that in the second half.
All right, Coach. Thanks a lot. Greg?
All right, Armin. So Mike Shanahan goes off the field with already more points than he saw his team score in the playoff game against the Baltimore Ravens last January. Our halftime score, Denver 10 and Baltimore 6. Coming up, off to Jim Nantz for the Nextel halftime report. Jim, Mike, Randy, and Jerry will get you caught up on all the scores, highlights, and NFL news. That's after these messages from your local station. Back to Denver along with Phil Simms. I'm Greg Gumbel. 10-6 Denver in the lead over Baltimore at halftime. And the thing that jumps out at you, I just saw Bob Greasy out in the hallway during the break, Phil, and I said, I'll bet you'd like to think that Denver could have a rushing game today, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen, Greg. In fact, I don't even know if they'll really try. I think coming into the game, Mike Shanahan, we've seen what they've done so far. 5 wide receivers, a lot of deception. They just cannot line up physically and beat.
Take a look at the numbers and you see what we're talking about. The Denver Broncos with just 13 yards rushing in the first half, and Baltimore not much better at 39, but 167 total yards for the Ravens, 137. The big glaring number there for the Ravens. They are 0 for 7 on third down, and they're going to have to start converting some of those if they are going to get back to into the lead in this football game. Baltimore kicks it away, and this is Casper 2 yards deep in the end zone. To the 20, breaks outside, reverses field out over the 30 to about the 33-yard line. More good field position for the Broncos, and we check in with Armin Katayan.
Greg, in talking to Brian Belichick, he's very pleased. He said, hey, we weathered the storm. We spotted him 7 points, and we fought through it. He said, I told the team at halftime, the most important thing is to not give up a turnover, take control in the second half. But one thing he told him just out of the huddle, or coming out of the locker room, was he didn't want to go past the 25, and Casper gave him 33. Back to you.
Special teams have performed very well so far today in the person of Kevin Casper. First down from the 33-yard line. This is Mike Anderson, left side. Touches back, slipped and fell across the 35 to about the 37-yard line. Siragusa and Jamie Sharper with the stop after a 3-yard pickup.
Well, I think, Greg, you saw Denver might try to get back to a more conventional offense for a couple of reasons, just to slow the Baltimore defense down, but maybe look for some play-action passes to give them a chance to look for a big play down the field, because the hardest thing to do against this Ravens defense is to get a big play, and scoring in the National Football League is about making big plays.
Anderson snaking his way through and out to the 45 for a first down. You and I were talking prior to the game. That is a huge Baltimore front four, and not a very big, by NFL standards, offensive line for the Denver Broncos.
No, I talked about it early or somewhere in the first half. The Broncos offense, they like to cut you down and tell the runners to run through those arm tackles when the defender is reaching up. It's hard to get Baltimore's defensive linemen on the ground. That's why they're hard to run against.
That 8-yard run, the longest for the Broncos today. First down at the 45. Greasy pulls it down and takes off across midfield and sliding down close to a first down, and we have a marker down. And it's going to be a hold on the Broncos. Sam Adams, wouldn't be surprised if he's the guy who's held, because he's the only Raven standing back near the original line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he knew it. I heard him even yell out. There
were fouls against both teams on the play. Holding, number 66 offense, hands to the face, number 21 defense. The penalties offset, replay first down.
Well, the Baltimore penalty is on Chris McAllister. The Denver penalty is on Tom Nalen.
You talk about quarterbacks in this league now, and they talk about all the guys that are able to run, and I'm really a firm believer, even more so as I watch games in this league now. It's hard to be a running quarterback and have success by running down the field. It has to be opportune times like we just saw with Brian Greasy.
Olandis Gary as penalty markers fly, and it appears that Greasy may have drawn some Baltimore defenders off with one of the quarterback's favorite weapons, the snap count.
And who was the best ever at doing that, Greg?
You?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm out of guesses.
Number 91, defense, 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
It's like the trivia questions you see in all football telecasts. Usually it has something to do with one of the teams that you're at, right? So let me ask you again. Who's the best at drawing a defense off sides you've ever seen as a quarterback?
Well, would John Elway be right up there among them?
You catch on quick. No, but that would be it. John Elway was terrific with the hard count and really kept the defense on edge.
On 1st and 5, Gary, maybe a yard. So it'll be 2nd and 4.
We had a chance to talk to Olandis Gary a couple days ago, and a couple things struck me. He's had so much success 2 years ago, then he got hurt, but he's not a big guy to be a powerful runner like he is. And Mike Shanahan said he had a terrific training camp and looks like he's almost back in the form that he was 2 years ago.
Says his knee still isn't 100%.
Yeah, he goes, I just don't like the way it feels.
Greasy with time, now coming to the near side and dives forward rather than throwing it away. Prairie with the pressure on.
Well, Brian Greasy really playing it safe, but a couple times when he looked down the field, Kevin Casper had broken away and was open, and he's going to throw it, and he decides, nope, don't throw. You hear it all the time. Don't throw across the field, and he did not do it. Went ahead and just took the sack or the modest gain.
That'll go down as the 2nd Raven sack of the day. He needs to get just across the 45-yard line of the Ravens for a first down. Quick pass, far side, Rod Smith, first down and more inside the 40.
Well, Rod Smith, the one thing he can do, we've seen in the first half, he can catch when people are around him, but he is terrific after the catch. Anthony Mitchell misses the tackle, and Rod Smith picks up some extra tough yards. The Ravens blitz. Corey Harris came off the corner. Brian Greasy saw it. Rod Smith changed his route, and they pick up a big first down.
Another first down reception for Rod Smith. 4 of them today, every one of them for a first down. Mike Anderson to the 35. And whether it's going to work for them or not, Mike Shanahan looks like he's a little bit more committed to the ground game here as the second half begins.
Well, you know what? What I saw in that first half too, Greg, is that the 5 wide receivers, every play you were like, what's going to happen? The quarterback's going to get sacked, fumble it. Brian Greasy threw the football into some really tight places, and when you keep throwing the football at that pace, sooner or later you're going to make a big mistake.
Greasy, and that's Hape out of the backfield, and Hape is knocked down at about the 31 or 32-yard line by Dwayne Starks. And as we see the ground game perhaps get more into gear, we go back to what Mike Shanahan was talking about as far as his wide receivers go. If you're going to play wide receiver for the Denver Broncos, you have to be committed to blocking downfield.
Got to block down the field, and vice versa. You get to be a corner for the Baltimore Ravens, you better be a good tackler, and we saw that with Dwayne Starks.
And that's what they will miss a great deal with Ed McCaffrey out for the season with the broken leg. 3rd and 3. Quick drop, quick pass, incomplete and almost intercepted. Rod Woodson was right there on Desmond Clark.
You know what makes it easy for the Baltimore Ravens to play some of these 5 wide receiver sets? Football got away from Brian Greasy that time a little. Guys like Rod Woodson. You know, most teams, the safety comes up to cover. You go, oh, that's not a good match for us. But Rod Woodson was one of the best cover corners in the National Football League for years. Corey Harris was a corner at first, too. So when they come up to cover receivers, it's not that tough of a job for them.
This is going to be a 49-yard attempt by Jason Elam. Out of the hole by Ruin. It is good. Jason Elam with another field goal. And the Broncos up their lead to 13-6. Plays 35 yards, resulting in the Jason Elam 49-yard field goal, and Elam kicks it away. Jermaine Lewis, 3 yards deep in the end zone. Stumbles a little bit and is tripped up at the 15, falls forward to the 18-yard line. Special team specialist Ian Gold with the stop after a 20-yard return. Elvis Gerbach brings the Ravens to the line as they begin from their own 17-yard line, and their starting position, as you can see, has not been terrific here today. Movement before the snap.
Right
a lot of flags.
Sammy Williams moved.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 78 offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
That might be one of those times, and what did Elvis Gerbach tell us? The crowd was loud, and he says when it gets real loud, he goes, I actually go to what is we call a quiet count. In other words, he doesn't try to scream. It's just him in the center, and everybody else has to turn their heads, look at the center, and know when the ball is snapped.
1st and 15. That's complete to Shannon Sharp, and Sharp out across the 20, almost to the 25-yard line. Eric Brown dragged him down.
Shannon Sharp, he has made his living or his career in the National Football League going across the formation. Just has a wonderful feel how to fight his way through traffic, go from his right side all the way across the field, and Elvis Gerbach finds him wide open.
We talked about him with Bill Romanowski, that he no longer has that ability to outrun people, but he does know how to get open. 2nd and 2 down the seam, and that's complete. Out across the 45-yard line, Qadri Ismail.
You know what? We talked about this. I was just saying this earlier. I can't wait to see if this receiving core for the Ravens, can it turn out to be real? Can it be a factor in football games? And there is no doubt this year, 2.5 games, they look better to me than they did all of last year because they're seeing more passes in practice, and they're absolutely seeing more balls thrown their way in the game. And Ismail is the perfect example for that.
His first catch of the day. On 1st down, Gerbach down the sideline. It is incomplete, and that's intended for Travis Taylor. O'Neal was with him step for step.
And what were we talking about during halftime? You and I were talking about, I didn't know if Denver could run the football anymore, but I also said to you was what?
The capacity for the big play is there.
Is absolutely on Baltimore's side offense more than Denver's, because Denver is just not as good as Baltimore's defense is athletically. Baltimore had a few chances in the first half. They did make one big one that led to one of the field goals, but they have a chance to get open down the field for a big scoring play.
2nd and 10. Ian Badejo pulls his way across midfield. Kenoy Kennedy coming up from his safety position for the stop after a gain of 2, and it'll be 3rd and 8. Both Brian Billick and Mike Shanahan looking through the charts. So what do we do now?
I tell you, if you ever looked at one of those charts, I took Gary Kubiak's. I saw him Saturday morning. So let me look at your chart. There were 9, really no exaggeration, 500 plays on it. I said, I can't even see how you can even read it.
Baltimore yet to complete a 1st down today. On 3rd down, the pass to Sharp, and that will not do it either.
Somewhat a decision to be made here. I think he'll punt, play field position.
Kyle Richardson comes on. So the Ravens are 0 for 8 on 3rd downs today. Richardson to kick. O'Neal is deep. Richardson, the NFL leader the last 2 years, putting punts down inside the 20-yard line, and O'Neal fair catches this one at the 15-yard line. 29-yard punt and no return, and we'll be back after this. Team starting 0-2, which has the best shot at making the playoffs. Cast your vote at NFL.com. On 1st down, Greasy with time. Coming this way, throws over the middle, tip, intercepted. Dwayne Starks. Parks has the football, and the Ravens are in prime position inside the Denver 25-yard line.
Boy, Greg, you said the last drive, nice decision by Brian Griese, very smart, but this time he goes down the field. The receivers are just jammed, nobody open, and as he goes that throws across, oh, just such a dangerous pass. Patrick Hape knocks it up in the air, and the Baltimore defense has stopped so many drives. Tip pass, sacking the quarterback, turnover.
And now on first down, Gerback throws the quick pass over the middle inside the 20, and it is incomplete. John Jones, the tight end. That's a young man that we can go all the way back to the preseason, and Brian Billick was telling us he liked the looks of this man.
Well, I can see why. He's tall. He runs very well down the field, and like a lot of young players, he just needs to get in the football game, get some repetitions, and getting used to getting yelled at by your coach when you drop a pass, because Brian Billick gave him an earful.
First time today the Ravens begin in Denver territory. This is 2nd and 10. Terry Allen straight ahead to the 20. He picked up 4. It'll be 3rd and 6, and Brian Griese doesn't throw many picks, does he?
No, he really is. I looked at the first 2 games, and even this, he doesn't even give the defense a chance most of the time. He's done a few today in some tight coverages, but smart decision maker, and that's why he's one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League.
Here again, a 3rd down opportunity for the Ravens, and they have failed to convert one of these today. Gerback to the near side, toward the end zone. Ismail, touchdown! 20-yard touchdown pass to Qadry Ismail, his first touchdown reception of the year.
All I can say, I'll just say it one more time, Greg. Doesn't look like the same receiver we saw last year. That time, watch what he does as he goes down the field. He waits to the last second to look up and put his arms up, because the defender, if you put your arms up too quick, will put his hand in between him and knock the pass away.
Ismail, his 12th touchdown in 2+ seasons with the Ravens. He had only 12 in his previous 6 NFL seasons. Stover's kick is good. Elvis Gerback bringing his team back into a 13-13 tie in Denver. We're tied at 13-all, and Brian Griese waiting for his chance to get back onto the field after the kickoff. Kevin Casper in the end zone has 3 kickoff returns today of 28, 37, and 37 yards. He will start this one on his 2. 20, 30, out to the 35-yard line. Anthony Mitchell drags him down, and again, good field position for the Broncos after a 34-yard return.
Well, we talked about Qadry Ismail being a receiver, looking so much better, but look at this throw. The touch, perfect position, right over the head, outside shoulder. And look at the congratulations that Elvis gets on the sideline. This offense, it hasn't been real successful so far this year, but watching it on film and then today, I gotta tell you, I like the way it looks, what they're trying to accomplish.
On first down, escapes the charge, cuts back, and is hit hard at about the 32-yard line. And we have a couple of players stretched out on the field. One of them is Tony Siragusa. The other is Peter Boulware.
Well, they ran into each other, of course, trying to hit Brian Griese.
When the Goose is stunned, you know someone has hit him fairly hard.
Nice job by Brian Griese getting away. Boulware not even blocked.
And that's Boulware coming back to make part of the play.
Oh, full speed, once a hit, and
Griese escaped getting caught in that vice. It was really Siragusa and Boulware butting heads.
well, when I was talking to Brian Griese on Friday, I said, boy, that's the one thing, Brian, right? When you run now, you just can't find the ground fast enough as a quarterback in this league. And even Mike Shanahan says, yeah, I think he's learned like most quarterbacks, he's learned his lesson the hard way, going down the field, taking big hits, and he got hurt last year from a couple of those big hits.
So Siragusa walks off to the sideline. Boulware is already over there. Larry Webster, number 79, in a defensive tackle. Extra defensive back in, only 2 linebackers for the Ravens. And the give is Anderson to the 40. To about the 41-yard line. Woodson and Harris with the tackle, and we go to Jim Nance in New York. Jim.
All right, Greg and Phil, it is hapless for Seattle. Rich Gannon, 2 touchdown passes to Jerry Rice, and this time he runs it in. Seattle has 110 yards offense. Hasselbeck sacked 6 times. Oakland annihilating them. Let's go back out to Denver.
All right, Jim. And Phil, you and I talked about what a long trip back to Oakland that must have been for the Raiders after that tough loss at Miami last Sunday. 3rd and 4. Greasy pulls it down, and he's going to run, and he's pulled down from behind by Boulware.
Boy,
Boulware with 2.5 sacks on the day. Excuse me, Phil.
No, I'm sorry, Greg. Peter Boulware, though, this is a little new for the Ravens defense. You see him more and more rushing the passer as the 4th down lineman. And look, that is just nothing but speed that allows him to stop Brian Greasy from getting the 1st down.
Not 2.5 sacks, because Greasy did make it back to the line of scrimmage, so that was a rushing attempt. Good kick by Ruin, and this one will bounce at the goal line and into the end zone. 58-yard punt by Ruin. When we come back, it'll be Baltimore from its own 20-yard line. Back at Invesco Field at Mile High, the Denver Broncos, the Baltimore Ravens tied at 13. First down, Baltimore, their own 20-yard line. Terry Allen breaking tackle across the 30. That'll be enough for a first down. 12-yard pickup to the 32-yard line.
You know, Terry Allen runs with a little attitude, too. You can see when he takes it up inside, he is full go, running hard, and still, after all the hard hits he has taken and everything, still has terrific feet that allows him to get those extra yards.
Terry Allen has had 2 torn ACLs in his career, 4 1,000-yard seasons. And there's a hit at the line of scrimmage on Allen by John Mobley, and he's forward just over the 35-yard line for a 3-yard gain. And we check in with Armin.
Thanks, Greg. You know, Brian Billick, when he was trying to figure out how he was going to handle this whole repeat thing with the Super Bowl, talked to a couple of guys who know something about it. Both Joe Torre of the Yankees and Phil Jackson of both the Bulls and the Lakers. Both told him, don't try to figure out what this year will be about, whether you're going to repeat or be the best defense ever. Just go out and play every single game on its own merits and figure it's a dogfight and it's going to work out. Greg?
Thanks, Armin. Gerback pass as he goes down. It's incomplete. Bill Romanowski coming in from the far side.
Yeah, Denver is getting a little aggressive on defense, and Romanowski on the blitz. Here he comes around the outside. Nobody there to pick him up, and you know, that's the one thing I've noticed when you study. There's Ray Rhodes, the defensive coordinator. When you study Elvis Gerback, he's hard to sack because he's 6'6", but he actually plays taller. He stands tall when he throws the football. He throws an overhand motion, so when guys are right on him, he's still able to stand up and just throw right over the top like he did that time.
3rd and 7. Gerback lost the handle, picks it up, slides down at the 35-yard line.
Yeah, well, that's something the coach has the right to be upset. Let's see. The snap looks like it goes to the right just a little. That makes sense because Flynn, the center, is trying to run to his right to make a block, and the football went with him. See, I blame that on the center, not the quarterback.
Still have a little bit more than a quarter to change their mind. Richardson. High, booming kick, and the fair catch is falling, and he gets hit at about the 21-yard line. Or maybe he didn't call for the fair catch. There is no flag. O'Neal backed into by his own blocker. So the line of scrimmage will be the 21-yard line. We invite you to follow all the games on NFL.com, and after the games, in-depth analysis and recap from the experts. Only at NFL.com. Your AOL keyword is NFL.com. Olandis Gary kicked to the outside. Doesn't quite make it to the 25-yard line. It'll be a 4-yard gain, 2nd and 6. Running back situation has been very interesting here in Denver the last couple of years. Of course, Terrell Davis, the great running back who has been set upon by knee problems and foot problems and sidelined for the time being. And along came Olandis Gary. There's Terrell on the sideline. Along came Olandis Gary, and he had an injury last year, and along came Mike Anderson. And Greasy over the middle. That's complete to Gary, and Gary is hit at about the 28-yard line. And once again, back to New York in Jim Nance.
Well, you guys are all aware of this buzz about LaDainian Tomlinson, the rookie running back for San Diego. He has scored now 2 touchdowns in the 3rd quarter to break a 7-7 tie to 21-7 Chargers. Let's go back to Greg and Phil.
You know, those Chargers are the talk of this Denver Broncos camp, too, because we heard it more than once that by the time Denver gets out there to San Diego in a couple of weeks, those Chargers could easily be undefeated. 3rd and 1. Greasy trying to back out of trouble. Comes this way, looking downfield, cuts back, and is down at about the 26-yard line. Ray Lewis closed in on him. That will go down as the 4th sack of the day by the Baltimore Ravens. Pretty good defense up front and downfield.
Greg, you're right. The pressure on the quarterback, the ability of Rod Woodson is running down the field with Rod Smith, and Rod Smith must have changed directions 4 or 5 different times, and Woodson stayed with him the whole way.
Bruins kick, not his best of the day by far. Bounces and gets a roll and bounces out of bounds at about the 30-yard line. Let's go back to that play.
Well, let's look. One of the best wide receivers in the National Football League. Oh, gets away from the jam. Dwayne Starks goes to the ground, but watch Rod Woodson run with him down the field. Uh-oh. Quarterback scrambling. Got him. He's going to stop, go back. He waits on him. You know, that really is a good job by his safety. And really, that, again, that's what separates and really helps this Baltimore defense go over the top. They have a safety like him and Corey Harris that are able to cover wide receivers down the field.
Rod Woodson, 9 interception returns for a touchdown in his great career. Jason Brookins on the field, gets the handoff, and just nudges it over the 30-yard line as time runs down on us here in the 3rd quarter. That is the end of the 3rd quarter with a score: Baltimore 13, Denver 13. We'll come back after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. All even as we begin the final 15 minutes here in Denver. The 1-1 Ravens, the 2-0 Broncos. Gerback with time, throws near side, has his man Shannon Sharp, and that's out of bounds, close to midfield for a first down.
You know, one thing, you said it earlier, Bill Romanowski said, well, Shannon Sharp might not be able to outrun you anymore, but nice fake inside. Nobody outside to help, and really not a good technique by Kanoy Kennedy. When you got a receiver like Shannon Sharp one-on-one, there's a safety in the middle. Don't let him fake you and go outside where there's nobody there to help you.
Shannon Sharp has now moved ahead of Jackie Smith for the 2nd most receiving yards ever by a tight end. He trails only Ozzie Newsome. Gerback on the move. Cuts inside of a potential tackler across midfield.
You know, and Greg, the last play, the throw to Shannon Sharp, we didn't even get into it. Elvis Gerback under pressure, but he stands so tall to throw the football, just makes it look easy, throws it with the perfect touch to the receivers, and all the Baltimore receivers have said the same thing. It's so easy to catch the football when he throws it. It's on target, and it's the perfect pace.
A word from the Baltimore sideline, Tony Siragusa, a mild concussion. His return is questionable. Terry Allen. Trevor Price, the first one to get his hands on it. No gain. It'll be 3rd and 6. Trevor Price came off of his 2nd Pro Bowl last year.
Yeah, Trevor Price inside. One of the best pass rushers in the National Football League from the inside position. You take him, and now you put Chester McLaughlin next to him. That is like the perfect combination to have on the inside of your defense.
3rd and 6. Quarterback throws this side. Shannon Sharp wide open. First down inside the 40 to about the 37-yard line. Only the 2nd 3rd down that the Ravens have converted today. The other was the touchdown.
Boy, just another nice throw. Nice job by Shannon Sharp knowing where to go. And I guess when I saw that the Ravens got beat by the Bengals, they threw 63 times. I go, man, they lost the formula that was so good for them. But then as I watched the game and we watched the films and we start looking at it, you can see that they were really close to getting their offense together. And it might take a couple more weeks, but it's getting better by the time.
The pass to the far side to John Jones. And Jones down at about the line of scrimmage. There will be no gain on the play. It'll be 2nd and 10. Clock continues to move as we come up on 12.5 to play here in the 4th quarter of what has been a terrific game right from the start. See number 76, Eric Williams, is in there now at right tackle. 197 yards for the Baltimore offense. And here is Brookins breaking free. 25, 20, tripped up inside the 20-yard line by Eric Brown.
The Denver Broncos, 2nd and 10, are expecting pass, so they come after the quarterback. There's a blitz. Look at the linebackers. Nobody is really looking for the run. Jason Brookins up inside. And, oh, what a terrific tackle by Eric Brown.
Brown saved the touchdown. First down, Baltimore at the Denver 17.
Brookins is fresh. Been sitting on the sideline most of the day.
He gets the ball off left guard down to the 10-yard line.
As Brian Billick said to us, he goes, hey, Jason Brookins, you can see just on the TV screen, he looks like Jamal Lewis in body type. And what I mean by that, he's fairly tall for a running back in this league. Thick, big, and has pretty good feet. A rookie in there. Really doing a terrific job for a rookie on a Super Bowl defending team.
His last 2 carries, he's gotten 27 yards on the ground. He's on the sideline now, and Terry Allen is back into the backfield. Allen, right side to the 5, and has a first down. It'll be 1st and goal for the Ravens.
There's Ray Rhodes, defensive coordinator, now trying to figure out what to do. Then just do whatever you got to do to keep them from scoring a touchdown. But see, they get inside the 20, Greg. I just thought it was interesting. Yes, Brookins had a couple carries. Well, they're bringing him back in again. So they're going to keep their running backs fresh, rotate them as much as they can.
Brookins, with blocker extraordinaire Sam Gass, lines up in the backfield. Brookins cuts back inside the 5 to about the 3. Romanowski and Kenoy Kennedy converge there.
You know, Brian Billick told us Benny Anderson starting at right guard, Sammy Williams the right tackle, along with Eric Williams, are both kind of rotating. But Edwin Mulatalo, you know, this line, it's going to take a couple weeks, but it's got the look, the athletic ability. They can be powerful, and they can get this running game going as time goes on.
Ishmael and Taylor flank to the top of your screen. To give us to Allen, and Allen stopped at about the line of scrimmage.
Just too many defenders for the Ravens to block. That's when you got to say, as an offensive coach, they outguessed me.
He lost a yard on the play, and it'll be 3rd and goal from the 3.5-yard line. They'll make it to 3. Denver crowd comes alive. 9 minutes to play here in the fourth quarter. Allen and Gash are behind Gerbach in the backfield. Gerbach, quick pass, touchdown. Travis Taylor pulled it in at the goal line, and the Ravens are in the lead.
I was wondering why did the Ravens bring in Sam Gash in an obvious passing situation down the goal line? Watch the fullback. Boom, goes down low, lets Elvis Gerbach get a lane to throw the football to Travis Taylor.
Taylor almost losing control, but established it there with 2 feet on the ground.
Inside receiver, and again, when you're playing Brian Billick or people of the so-called West Coast offense, the inside receiver, they love to break him out in those short routes in those situations.
Stover's extra point is good, and on the sideline, Elvis Gerbach congratulated by teammates and by his head coach. It's the Ravens by a touchdown. Stover kicks it away. Casper, terrific on return so far today. 20, and out of bounds this time, just short of the 25-yard line, run out by Alvin Porter. Travis Taylor, 10 yards shy of a 100-yard day. A look at some of the Colorado scenery, and a look at what the Broncos have done the last 3 times they've had the football. They start now from their own 24-yard line, trailing 20-13. Greasy, deep drop, throws, incomplete, and almost intercepted by Rod Woodson.
Rod Woodson was covering the tight end on the inside, Desmond Clark, reads the quarterback, comes off, and almost gets the interception. And you saw the disgust in Mike Shanahan's face. If Greasy just throws it higher and softer, it's an easy completion, but what a reaction by Rod Woodson.
Rod Woodson, 58 career interceptions to his credit. 2nd and 10. Greasy the other way, and that was complete to Carswell, and Carswell, pickup of about 2 or 3 on the play. Corey Harris with the tackle. We'll call it a 3-yard gain. It's a 2-yard gain, make it 3rd and 8.
Hey, look at Rod Woodson there, Greg, and I'll never forget talking to him last year. And he says, you know, he went from a corner with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He comes to Baltimore, they turn him into a safety, and he just couldn't get over how hard it was to play safety because he'd never seen a game facing the offense like that. He usually had the sideline to help, and it took a long time for the transition to happen. But once it clicked in, Marvin Lewis said his defense just changed completely.
On 3rd and 8, the pass to Smith is complete. Across midfield, inside the 45-yard line, and a 1st down.
When you need a big play, and if you're the Denver Broncos, you can almost bet it's going to go to Rod Smith, and that time he's matched up with Carnell Lake. And you know, this is tough for Carnell Lake. Usually the Broncos receivers are going across the field, they're breaking out, and when they go vertical straight up the field, very tough to cover.
5 receptions, 5 first downs for Rod Smith, who came in the leader in that category to begin with today. Greasy on the move. 40, 35, gets a 1st down and out of bounds inside the Baltimore 30-yard line.
And guess who missed the tackle that time on Brian Greasy? Ray Lewis, number 52, comes out of coverage. Another good job by Greasy in his footwork, but look at Ray Lewis. He must have been running to Brian Greasy going, oh, I can't wait to get there. But you know, Brian Greasy just has that knack. He moves at the right time, stepped up in the pocket, and made a good decision to go forward.
Play clock is down to 5, 4, 3, 2, and they call timeout. Rather than get hit with the delay of game penalty, Denver burns its first timeout here in the 2nd half. Tony Siragusa, number 98, back on the field despite the mild concussion suffered earlier. At this mile-high altitude, you expect a couple of the guys to be sucking wind right about now. Give is to no one. Greasy still has the football. Throws for the end zone. It is incomplete. Rod Smith is intended receiver.
Greg, you talked about some players being tired, but the thing about that is that we were talking about during the commercial. The Ravens play so many guys on defense, you get tired, you go out. And that time, Siragusa wasn't fooled by the play-action fake. He looked pretty quick chasing Brian Greasy that time.
You know, he's going to love it when you hear that you said that he looked pretty quick.
Well, you know, listen, don't let that body fool you. He is a very good athlete and moves around extremely well.
2nd and 10. That's Siragusa jumping.
And you hear that all the time. Boy, he's got a little attitude right now. But you get that weight leaning forward, hard to stop him.
Encroachment, number 98, defense, 5-yard penalty.
You know,
Second
Tony,
down.
he's doing a little talking down there. He's famous for his talking down on the field.
Because, you know, I think, too, a guy like I say, he's got a little attitude. But, you know, this Baltimore Raven defense, they're like offended if you move the football on them. So they all get, you know, get upset. And
they take it personal.
They really do.
Olandis Gary in the backfield. 2nd and 5. The give is to Gary. Right side to the 20. He'll be a couple of yards short of a first down.
And that really changes the way that offsides. That's a big play. Because instead of 2nd and 10, 2nd and 5 now, the Broncos can say, okay, we can run it up in there maybe once, twice, and if it's really close, you can do it on 4th down too.
Coming up on 6 minutes to play in the 4th quarter, and we have on the ground number 90, Rob Burnett, the 12th-year defensive end from Syracuse. And he looks like he's in pain.
Yeah, it looks like he got some cramps the way he just went down real quick.
There's Siragusa. We were talking about how he talks a little bit on the field. Give a listen.
Hey, man, get over here. Where you going, man? Oh, man, what do you mean? Buy you? He was 5 yards in the backfield. I will. And I'll give you my address so you can write me an apology. I've been on the Atkins diet. I've been on that Atkins diet, man. How do I look? Pretty good, don't I? Be honest. Look, when I walk away, check my ass out. Look, look, look.
That is so bad. Oh, gosh. You know, he is quite a character, talks a lot of funny sound bites, but don't ever think for a second that he is not one really good football player. And, you know, we talked to him last year about it, as you see Rob Burnett still on the field. But Tony Siragusa, he says, you know, I got in this league. I saw how it was played. I said, hey, I got no chance of making it as a pass rusher. Put some weight on, really learn the techniques on how to stop running plays, and he has made a career on occupying blockers so middle linebackers like Ray Lewis can run around and make tackles.
The good news, Rob Burnett up and walking off the field, and yeah, he takes great pride in the fact that you're not going to get past him to block the linebackers behind him.
And I think, and Jimmy Johnson, I'll never forget this, told me this years ago, 2 of the hardest positions to come in the NFL and play, quarterback and interior defensive lineman, because it's so complicated, so many blocks, getting double teamed, learning what to do. It takes experience and talent to do it.
Here is a huge 3rd and 2. The give is to Gary. Gary right side going for the first down. And he is right at the marker.
What do you do if you're Mike Shanahan? I think it's going to be about 6 inches short. I think you got to go for it. This is your chance to score a touchdown.
It is 4th and 1.
I think I just read his lips. I think they're going to call a timeout, the Denver Broncos. Nope.
Meanwhile, substitutions being made on the defensive side of the ball. And now we're going to get a whistle. And a timeout is called by the Denver Broncos. 5:10 to play. A critical 4th and 1 for the Denver Broncos on offense, and it looks like they're going to spread the field with 5 wide receivers.
Now Baltimore's got to be alert for the quarterback sneak.
Greasy, quick pass, bounced off the receiver, incomplete. Desmond Clark hit him right in the hands.
He just was not ready for the football that quick. Let's take a look and see if Greasy, 1-2, just gets rid of it right away. There's Gary Kubiak, the offensive coordinator, and he knows it was there, but the details. Elvis Gerback told us about the little details, and a little detail was missing there. Either Greasy was expecting to look quicker, or Clark was just going to go farther over the middle.
5:07 to play here in the fourth quarter. Terry Allen, left side, running room, 25, and out of bounds, close to a first down.
Now the Broncos, you go for it on fourth down because it's hard to score against this Ravens defense. And if you don't make it, you go, well, we got them backed up. We got to stop them. We'll get fairly good field position, and we'll have a pretty good chance with our last drive. But right away, you let Baltimore come right out. Terry Allen get a first down running.
As you look at Brian Greasy, you mentioned this during the last break, Phil. Elvis Gerbach, quite a comeback after the first pass he threw right at the very start of the game was intercepted.
Got to be strong and mentally to overcome that start.
To the 30-yard line is Ian Badejo. Clock moving, coming up on 4:50 to play. Timeout on the field. It is charged to Denver, and the Broncos are now out of timeouts. While we have a moment, let's talk about what's coming up tonight here on CBS. How prepared are we for a biological or chemical attack? Find out on 60 Minutes. Followed by Academy Award winner Richard Dreyfuss in The Education of Max Bickford. And then Brian Dennehy and Mary Stuart Masterson star in the world premiere mystery Ed McBain's Three Blind Mice. It's all here tonight on CBS.
What did we talk about in the first half? Talked about timeouts. Use them in the first half whenever you need them. Take them. Second half, you guard those things. They are so important because they determine winning and losing so much in the National Football League. And now Denver, here we are when they need them, none left.
Second and 9. Gerback going to throw and throws it away. The penalty marker is down. Delta O'Neal protesting the call as he covered Travis Taylor.
Yeah, Delta O'Neal, I didn't see the contact. Maybe it was a double move by Travis Taylor.
Pass interference. Number 24 defense. Automatic first down, spot of the foul.
Let's take a look and see if the Ravens were going for the big play. Tight coverage. Oh, it was a big play, and he reached up to grab him because Delta O'Neal slipped as Travis Taylor made his he made his original move.
That's the second call against O'Neal today.
And that's an automatic call. Look, when you stick your arms out in front of a receiver, the arm bar, as they call it, that is a penalty.
Allen back to the line of scrimmage and no more. Kavika Pittman the first to hit him there. Clock continues to move, coming up on 4.5 to play.
Now, you see, there's still time, 4 minutes and 30 seconds, but the problem now is field position. Even if you stop them, you're most likely going to have to go at least 80 yards for a tie-in touchdown against the best defense in the National Football League.
And it bears repeating here, if the Ravens do have to kick it, Kyle Richardson, the best in the league, putting it inside the 20-yard line for the last 2 years. Allen and Gash in the backfield. Gerback trips. The give is to Allen, and they were lucky to get that play off cleanly.
Lucky is Greg. Now, as I saw him fall, I'm going, oh, I hope you're not going to try to hand it off. In this situation, that could have been a disaster.
Did you see the look on Elvis's face as he got off the turf?
Oh, the center, yeah, he knew what he did. The center, Flynn, his left foot, stepped on Elvis's left foot. It's amazing.
2-yard gain, 3rd and 8, 3.5 to play. They're going to keep it on the ground. Allen is wrapped up by Al Wilson. For a moment, that looked like a big gainer up the middle, but Wilson plugged the hole.
It's amazing how fast it closed, wasn't it? When he handed off, I said, oh, that could be a first down. He fought to get back to the line of scrimmage.
But O'Neal back at his 10. I'm sorry, Phil.
No, a successful drive by the Ravens, though. Change in field position.
Richardson sails this one too far. Into the end zone and through. For those of you expecting to see 60 minutes, you're watching the NFL on CBS, and the game between the Baltimore Ravens and Denver Broncos. Greg Gumbel with Phil Simms and Armin Katayan. Our score, Baltimore 20, Denver 13. 60 minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately following this game, except on the West Coast.
Kyle Richardson, he forgot to factor in the elevation. So you got to be a mathematician when you play here, too.
Brian Greasy has 80 yards in front of him, 2:36 to play, no timeouts.
This is what everybody wanted to see. Denver's offense against Baltimore's defense, and the game is on the line.
Greasy throws, incomplete, just behind Eddie Kennison. It'll be 2nd and 10. Let's flash back to a week ago. Jay Fiedler took the Miami Dolphins 80 yards with no timeouts in the final moments of the game for a victory.
Yeah, you're right. Similar situation, except Oakland's defense is pretty good. This one's real good.
Brian Greasy has offered 3 fourth-quarter comebacks.
And if I was Brian Greasy, I would really zero on a Rod Smith. He was open again the last play.
Chased out of the pocket, throws on the run, incomplete. Eddie Kennison had it bounce off his fingertips, and it'll be 3rd and 10.
Pressure on the quarterback. This is almost a perfect throw by Brian Greasy. Kennison, actually, whoa, that's close. Got both hands up on the football.
Kennison is on, replacing Ed McCaffrey, who is out for the rest of this year with a broken leg. A reliable receiver that is no longer a part of the arsenal. Play clock is down to 5, 4, 3, and here's Greasy. Under the pressure, throws over the middle, that's complete. That'll be short of a first down.
Boy, Baltimore coming up with a different look, gets to the quarterback, and there's no doubt, if I was, yep, that's it. Brian Greasy's going to let it go to the 2-minute warning. Let the coaches think about what they're going to run and get your best play out there.
When we come back, Mike Shanahan and the Broncos looking at 4th and 5. Mike Shanahan faced a 4th and 1, and a quick pass was incomplete. Now looking at 4th and 5 to keep the drive alive. Denver cannot stop the clock. They're out of timeouts. Whistle blows. And it's going to make it 4th and 10.
Oh, that's huge.
Prior to the snap, false start. Number 88 offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains 4th down.
That's the tight end, Desmond Clark. We remind you, 60 minutes is coming up next, except on the West Coast here on CBS.
Did it. I was going 4th and 5, Greg. It would have been a good time. Everybody get up there and sit in their stance and try to hard count them outside. Instead, they made the mistake.
Greasy escapes the rush. Looking downfield, has a man open. It is incomplete, and there's the flag. The flag is on Rod Woodson. Eddie Kennison was the intended receiver, and Kennison at one point had a good 5 or 7 yards on Woodson.
Well, the key, once again,
pass interference. Number 26, defense. Automatic first down, spot of the foul.
The late shift by the Baltimore defense. Peter Boulware, unblocked. Unblocked. Lets Brian Greasy get outside the pocket. Good job by Rod Woodson seeing the trouble down the field. But again, stuck that arm in front of the receiver. Good call by the officials.
Gary Kubiak upstairs. Greasy on first down, goes down. Back to the 47-yard line. That's Michael McCrary.
Still plenty of time. A minute 48. Don't rush it if you're the Broncos. Take your time.
Greasy, quick pass, and that one is tipped at the line of scrimmage. Rob Burnett got his hand on it.
Boy, it's so appropriate. Michael McCrary, how about we were sitting in the office talking to Mike Shanahan. He goes, I've never seen a guy play so hard all the time or harder than Michael McCrary. And that last sack, he just outworked the Denver offensive line to get there.
Now, essentially, Brian Greasy, as you look at McCrary on the sideline, has 2 downs to get 21 yards.
And if I was the Ravens, don't rush him too hard, because when he breaks the pocket, that's when big plays open up. Stay in front of him.
Greasy throwing, and nobody's there except Ravens, and it's intercepted. Corey Harris pulled it in, and that should lock it up for the Baltimore Ravens.
Definitely not on the same page. Brian Greasy expecting a receiver to break out. I think it was Rod Smith. And there's nobody there, and they were going to keep Brian Greasy in the pocket. That time, Tony Saragusa did not even move. Stood up and watch Brian Billick.
You know, we talked earlier about his approach, his whole approach to his team after the loss last week. And this is a pretty tough statement by the Baltimore Ravens to come into Denver and beat the Broncos.
You know what, too? And you see that reaction. You don't see reactions like that too often from head coaches, but I like it. You know, hey, it's a great thing to win games. And to beat Baltimore, to come in here to Denver in this situation and beat, without a doubt, one of the best teams in football, it's exhilarating. And I think, you know, Brian Billick knows, too, that this sets his team up at 2-1, going home. Look at their schedule. They got Tennessee at home. Then the following week, they go to Green Bay and play there. So
Baltimore will go to 2-1. Denver will fall to 2-1. And for Elvis Gerbach, a terrific comeback from a week ago in which he accounted for 3 of the 6 turnovers with interceptions.
The defense looked the same for the Baltimore Ravens. But I think a lot of the doubts were erased about the Baltimore Ravens offense. The scheme, the flow which they play with, the mixture of pass and run, it looked pretty good here today.
Remind you once again, 60 Minutes comes your way once we wind down. Next here on CBS, except on the West Coast. And that'll do it. The Baltimore Ravens bounce back from a loss at Cincinnati last week that surprised many around the NFL. Brian Billick and the Ravens come out on top. Mike Shanahan, Brian Greasy, and the Denver Broncos fall for the first time this season. Once again, our final score, Baltimore 20 and Denver 13, coming up next, except on the West Coast. Stay tuned for 60 Minutes. For Phil Simms and Armin Katayan, I'm Greg Gumbel. So long from Denver. Thanks for joining us, everyone. You've been watching the NFL.
Well, they all managed today, and you know, we take our hats off to them. Their defense, they played well, and the offense hung in there and made some plays at the end.
It's like a battle of 2 heavyweights. I mean, 2 tremendous teams, 2 great defenses out there where the offense might get a spurt here and there for both sides and pick up a big yard, and then all of a sudden you're fighting for field goals.
Definitely. Now, you know, that's what this league is this year. I mean, you got a lot of guys. There's no slouch defenses in this league right now, and especially in the AFC. And, you know, we're going to have to go out each week and just give it our best shot, and hopefully we come up on top of these things.
Well, Landis, you knew how strong physically they are up front defensively. You look at those linemen, Siragusa and Sam Adams. What's it like for you, and how much tougher, and what do you try to change when you go against that defense as opposed to another team?
You know how they say one cut and get downhill. I mean, this team just got to get downhill because those guys are coming at you. The only way you can, you know, just penetrate their defense is just get right downhill right now, and you try to go sideways, and they blow you up every time.
Feeling in this room, listening to you guys talk to the coach after the game, you're going to have to go through them eventually anyway. You're going to see him again probably down the road.
Hopefully, and you know, that's what we want. You know, you want to revenge things, and you know, it's hard to beat teams twice in this league, and you know, I think we'll be ready for them next. I think we're ready for them this time. You know, we just had some bad breaks, and we just came up on the short end this trip.
Thanks, Alandis Gary. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Alandis Gary. This running game, and Mike Anderson by halftime had 11 yards, and I think Alandis had 7 yards. So you don't run the ball in the Baltimore Ravens, obviously. Mike Shanahan meeting with the media in the other room. Let's listen to him.
Advantage of it, when you play a good football team like that, you can't turn the football over, and you've got to score once you get the ball on the inside of the 50-yard line, and we didn't do that. As I told our team, I said, hey, that's hopefully we'll get a shot to play them again. That's one round. We'll have to obviously gather up together, look at what we did poorly, hopefully rectify some of those mistakes, and get ready for Kansas City. Any questions? Yeah, last year. Last year when we played them in the playoffs. Pretty good. One of the reasons why I set them all-time records with the least amount of points last year, and we've got the same team back and look a little bit better to me. Obviously, they played very good today because we're not too bad of an offensive team. And obviously, we couldn't get much going. So I take my hat off for them the way they played and the way they played for 60 minutes. And hopefully we'll get a chance again somewhere down the line. Everybody makes, minor adjustments. Obviously, I don't want to get into the adjustments, but it's a little bit of a chess match. But, they don't really change a whole lot. What they do is they do it well. And obviously we couldn't get a whole lot going today.
With the media in the other room, I'm back here in the Broncos locker room with John Mobley. And John, talk about two great defenses squaring off in this one. Neither one obviously gives much. And how tough is it for you to let this one get away?
Well, it's kind of tough. We knew it was going to be a battle going into the game, and we knew it was going to come down to the defenses, and we just didn't make enough plays out there to come out on top.
Did they make adjustments at halftime on the third quarter and fourth when they started to find Shannon a little bit more?
Yeah, they utilized him out in the open, and we had trouble getting him covered up, and he hurt us a little bit in the second half. But they just out game planned the second half, and we didn't make enough plays.
I think a lot of people looked at the Ravens after struggling in their opener against the Bears. Then they fall, of course, to the Bengals. People started to wonder if they still had the swagger and the talent of a champ. I mean, that's about as good a team as you're going to see this season.
Oh, yeah, they definitely have it. I mean, you look at all the talent they have over there, and, they're going to bring it and keep bringing it all game long. And you just got to withstand it and try to match them blow for blow. But, we came up a little short today.
Think you're going to see them again?
I think so. I definitely think so. And, I think we'll have their number next time.
All right, thanks, John Mobley. Appreciate it, and we'll see you next week as you try to bounce back against the Chiefs. That's all they can do right now. Let's go back to Anita and Mark in the studio.